Hello, everybody. Welcome to another The Not So Fashion Talk Show. And today I'm gonna interview a very cool guest. His name is Roberts the third, and he wrote a very cool book saying "Thank you, skateboarding." And we're gonna have a really cool talk too. Just a reminder, you can check us live Thursday usually. Also, you can see this interview. You can watch this interview on YouTube on Punkaste TV, and you can also support this new talk show, show about something, by getting some of our shirts at punkrockerdad.com, like this one, Got Me Life Crisis. Check it out. Hey man,
Yo, how you doing?
good and you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you. I'm,
Thank
I'm
you. Nice to
excited.
meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for having me on.
Oh no, man, it's a pleasure. Like I was actually on Instagram, and then I was going by and watching some stuff, and then your book came in, and then I said, "Thank you, skateboard." Like I read, like "Thank you, skateboard." And it was like it's not everybody that I think really understand what goes on in the scene. And when I saw like somebody being grateful for skateboarding, of like, well, this guy know what it is. So I didn't even think about it. I just got the book, and like I just learned that you actually wrote a few ones that we can talk about it here. But I was like, man, this is awesome because it's everything I ever believed. But when you tell some people they don't, so let's just talk a little bit about skateboarding in your life and all
Love
that
it.
good stuff.
Dude, and that's awesome you feel that way. And that's the biggest compliment to me for that book is hearing people, and I've heard it so many times where people say it's like they're reading their like thoughts and feelings about skateboarding put into words. And really it's that was the biggest heart for me behind that is just keeping it short, but putting into words where I think so many of us think and feel about skateboarding in regards to how special it is to us, how it's impacted our lives and continues to impact our life, and just the positive outlet that it gives to so many, and beyond that outlet and it being a positive one is, for some of us it's literally life, not only changing but saving. So it's super grateful for that book and having the opportunity to share it with others and just put it out there for all of us to enjoy, really.
Yeah, man. I mean, you put it into words what I could probably never do it, but it's exactly the way how I felt. You know what
I
I mean?
love
Like,
it.
because like skateboarding, well, like it's been a big part of my life. I talk about it on my book. I'm about to launch my book, and it's like it's so it seems like weird because a lot of us are like skateboard was grew up being seen as almost as a criminal. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how were you
dude.
growing up, but
uh
like for me, it was like
100
skateboard is a crime. They're like criminals, and we were like, no, man, we just want to skateboard, you know?
Dude, I mean, in our era, just real quick, shout out to everyone joining in and stopping in. Thank you guys for being here. I see Vitelli Brothers. They're amazing local artists in St. Pete that do crazy mural work. But anyways,
Cool. Well,
um,
and just so people know, like this interview is saved on YouTube, so you can always go back and access.
love it. But back what you're saying about being a crime, in our generation, like growing up in St. Petersburg, it was the skateboarders were not really looked upon good. It wasn't something that people felt good about collectively. It was really, like you said, just outcasts, criminals. Oftentimes we were like in dirty clothes or different styles than what the general population was wearing at that time. And I mean, it would be the situation where we're skating down the road and people would throw stuff at us, scream all kinds of things, not just, you know, cops or people kicking you out of place, but just the general vibe about how people saw us was like we were always on guard. So there was a lot of fights that came out of that stuff in terms of just protecting ourselves and being constantly in a place where we had to look over our shoulders because people had so much anger and aggression towards skateboarders for some reason. But, you know, outside of that was the perspective, but inside it was a family from day one. You know, we stuck together, looked out for each other, and just bonded over this thing that we all loved. And in a lot of ways, people didn't want to see us doing it, but it didn't stop us from doing that in any way.
Yeah, because I mean, it's funny you say that because I lived in Bradenton, Sarasota for a while, and I restarted skateboarding in there. And like one day I was actually trying to find like, because somebody told me like, oh, there's a skate park somewhere. So I kind of went and I didn't have a car. So I went on my skateboard and like somebody just passed by and threw me like a beer or Budweiser and stuff because, you know, like, and this was like early 2000s. And just now I think it feels it's like started to change more like,
yeah.
Because he went on the Olympics, you know, like, and people are more aware. And then now, like, there's skate parks everywhere, which is like,
beautiful.
It's freaking awesome.
Well, I'm like going back into late 80s, early 90s, where it was, you know, there wasn't even at that point. I'm trying to think of there was a skate park far away, Kona, and then as time went on, a few others opened up. Of course, Skate Park of Tampa eventually opened up, but it was just strictly, you know, DIY stuff and skating whatever we could, wherever we could, you know. So seeing the opportunities for skateboarding now to continue to progress and have the facilities for people to do it essentially anywhere, at any time, really makes me happy, you know, because the journey to get to where skateboarding is at today has been a long one and not always a supported one. So I'm really happy to see all of the growth that continues to happen for skateboarding and for cities and city officials and foundations and so many different people to get behind building public skate parks in so many areas and multiple public skate parks is really an amazing thing in my mind.
Yeah. And you always lived in Florida on St. Pete?
Yeah. Born and raised in St. Pete. There was a short time I lived in Jacksonville with my wife before we were married, but that was maybe like 5 months or something. But it's been St. Pete for the biggest part.
And you've seen a growth like in there. Because when I went there, you know, like there was a skate that day that, you know, like some guy tried to hit me. When I got to the skate park, it was actually just a ring, like a hockey ring, but like, no, not ice, just like skating. So whoever told me they didn't know what I was talking about, obviously. But then I found out one in Tampa. It was an indoor one, or St. Pete, I think. And I used to drive over there every now and then to just go skating. That park was phenomenal. Like,
yeah, I think
awesome.
we messaged about that. I think the ring you're talking about, there was a roller skating ring inside Astro Skate, but then there's a rink outside that they use for roller hockey somewhere in Largo or something. I actually never skated that yet, but and then the inside skate park that it wasn't in Tampa. The one you were talking about was 688. It was Central before that, 688, I think, on Almerton Road, which was a rad park. And
yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And what were you? I was gonna say something about. So, you were talking about watching it grow, St. Pete grow. Yeah, it's been. I mean, when we grew up skating downtown, it was like a playground for us. That was our skate park because most businesses were closed down, run down buildings everywhere. On Sundays, there were maybe 2 places open all of downtown. So we had full access to anything we wanted to skate for the most part. And even during the week, there was, like I said, there was so little, there was not much business at all going on there. So it was kind of like downtown it was a place that people didn't want their kids to go, put it that way. It was a sketchy time down there, but as skateboarders, we loved it. And it was really just our refuge to just be down there all day and night, whatever, and have the canvas to do our thing on.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And like I saw myself in your book so many times, man. Like when I was reading, that it's incredible. Like all the things that like overcoming fear and like that. I think this is one of the biggest lessons that I ever got in my life from skateboarding was exactly that. Like overcoming fears and that persistence of like you fall and come back in and you try it over and over again until you hit it.
Yeah. And I mean, I always stay humble in what it takes to even overcome the fear to ride a skateboard. Just to ride a skateboard's scary when you first get on something where all the wheels are rolling.
Yeah.
It's pretty sketchy, the balance to not loop out. And then one of my favorite things to do is see kids drop in for the first time, and regardless of what size ramp it is, I get so hyped because I know and always remember how much fear was involved that you had to overcome to trust yourself to be able to drop in on a ramp or whatever. And it just builds and builds and builds. And everything that you continue to do on a skateboard in terms of progression, you're overcoming one fear after another to get to a place that you're ready to commit to in order to do it. And then just because you commit doesn't mean it's going to happen right away, like you said. And then you just foster persistence because as skateboarders, generally speaking, it's really hard for us to walk away from trying a trick without getting it, even if it's not the same day. It could be months that we're still working on this same trick until we get it, which is to me a beautiful thing because that manifests its ways into our daily life and in so many different aspects.
Yeah, it's funny because like you said something, like 2 things you said on the book that like brought me, like one, the fear.
What's up, Close Call Skateboarding? Much love.
One was for the fear, and then the other one was like the support of people like encourage you to do the trick, because it's almost kind of like it's almost different than every other sport in there because people they want to see you like hit it. They don't want to see you like as a skateboarder, like versus like when you're in another sport where they just want to screw you over pretty much. The skateboard is different. It remind me.
Yeah, your other team doesn't want to see you score the goal, or like make a basket. It's maybe your teammates are supporting you, but skateboarding, I mean, you'll see it all the time, even in professional competitions that ultimately, of course, they all are competitive and they want to perform.
Yeah,
and
of course.
But at the end of the day, they're all cheering for each other and they're just stoked to see someone have a good run and do well, So it is that amazing support system. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, it's cool. It's cool because it keeps it real too, because like when you watch a video or like a picture of a skateboarder, like in my mind at least, I was kind of like, man, do you know how many times that guy probably felt until he took that picture or he took that video? Some people don't put it, but most skateboarders, they put the falls before you even hit it, like in the videos, because then like, okay, the guy tried like a few times until, and that's like, I think what it makes it real, like, it makes skateboarding.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. And I remember one day, like we fought in my building to have a quarter pipe after, I don't know, like 3 years bagging. They put a quarter pipe because I grew up in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And like we used to live in tall buildings. So, and then after that, they started to open a few more skate parks around. And then one day I wanted to learn rolling in, so I went to that quarter pipe because I didn't live there anymore. I went there to try it, but it was like a lot smaller, but I hit it. And then I went to the bigger ramp, and I remember I was all night, man. It was like an hour and a half to get me to roll in and drop. But I remember when I did, everybody was just smashing the boards, and you know,
I love
like the
it.
vibe of that is just like it marked my life, you know, until today. That scene, you know, like it's something that you
That's
carry on.
that's amazing. What so when did you move to the States, and how was it skating in Brazil when you were younger?
It was cool. I mean, first is my dad is American, so
Okay.
we were fortunate that he traveled a lot. So every time he came to US, you buy boards because in Brazil in the beginning they didn't have, and when they
Sure.
started to have, it was either too expensive or low quality because it was brand new companies coming up. And then so we were fortunate. So he always brought skateboard for us.
That's awesome.
So and started there. And my brothers, I'm the youngest, so I was on the top of the skateboard like at 2 years old already. Like I was fortunate on that time. So when you said the fear of standing up with a skateboard, I never remembered. I remember when somebody say like, "Hey, can you teach me?" And then I put it the person, and then you're like, "Okay, this is hard." But for me, because I learned it when I was 2, so I was very fortunate that.
Wow.
But in Brazil, it was really not well seen for a while. Like in 1990, I think São Paulo, they prohibit skateboarding in the whole city for like a whole month. Uh,
Really?
yeah, it was pretty bad. And then you know it took a while to kind of change that. But most of the people they were like seen like criminals and all of it. So it was a little hard in the beginning, but with time started to get a little bit better. There's two things like in Rio where I grew up. They used to close the street, the avenue before the beach, so it was like people just walking. So the skateboarders they were always there, like on a free street
Nice.
to skateboard. So it was nice. And but with time, like because I was born in the 80s, so on the 90s they opened one of the biggest Latin American bowls in Rio. uh, so it kind of grew from there, and then now I don't know how it is. I came to
Yeah.
US in '04, and then I started to do triathlons, and then I didn't skateboard for a long time. But one
Got it.
day training for an Ironman, I'm running and I passed by this skate park in Florida, and I was like, why am I running and not skateboarding? And then from
That's
that
great.
on, you know, like, because I dealt with depression for a while.
Yeah.
So that day was the seed that planted in my head to start changing my life. And it came through skateboarding. I was like, I should be
Yeah.
there, not running, man. Like, it's not really my thing. I mean, I had a purpose to do it, but, you know, it was just
Sure.
like, I needed something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you? Like you started, you saying you speak on the board, you started at 11 or 9?
It was 11. And then
11.
I got my first around 11, and I was someone just gave me a board or something. I forget what whose board it was. Maybe they were letting me use it, but I got my first brand new board, I think, on when I was 12. Like my like real legit
Real
board. It
board,
was a
yeah.
Pal Peralta Tony Hawk. But I'd already been skating a little bit before then. But then when I got that board, that was just it. It just became my main focus, you know. And of course, there's been seasons over the years that I've stepped away, like taken some time off, haven't hadn't skated or put a lot of focus on it consistently. There was never a time where I didn't have a skateboard or at least go out and kick around a little bit here and there. But you know, it's gone in waves in my 20s until now, just different waves of um, frequency, I would say. But probably the last 2.5 years, I've been kind of set on. My goal is usually 4 days a week at least
Four
to be
days.
able to, yeah, to be able to be on the board and skate. Um, which it just, there was a park that opened near me that is St. Pete Skate Park. And the first time I skated, it was just, it has everything, so many different things, because we had great parks around, but there was just after a certain period of time, they wouldn't, I would kind of not lose my interest, but it just wouldn't be the same, and then I don't street skate as much as I once did. Obviously, I still love the feeling. There's something special that happens in the streets that it doesn't happen in the parks. It's just, there's something magical of so many, your level of creativity is different and things like that in the streets. But, the main thing I skate's the parks, which this St. Pete's Park it just did something inside of me where I was like, you know what, I just want to dedicate putting the focus fully back into it, in a way that I hadn't in several years at least, which has been awesome. And, the journey of relearning stuff and kind of getting some new tricks here and there has been an awesome one, because when you take some time out of skateboarding, there's a certain level of humility that has to come with being able to get back into it. And then, of course, you have to let your mind just kind of let go of where you once were, what you once could do or whatever, and just kind of, like I said, humble yourself and start where you are and kind of gauge your progression off of there, which is what I've done in the last few years. And it's been a good time for sure.
Yeah, I feel the same way, because I came back. The truth is, I skateboard until like my 18, and then when I was 18, I hit my head like big time on that bowl, and I passed out for 30 minutes. I was skipping class, and like I felt guilty, and then I stopped skateboarding for a little bit, and but I always had a skateboard, like you said, like at home, like it was always there. Until like I came to a point in life that I lost everything pretty much, and then I was rebuilding. I didn't have my skateboard, and that day after the birthday after that day that I was running, my wife actually gave me a longboard, so it was a way to kind of step into it. And then when I moved to Colorado, I moved to an apartment that it was like right next door to the city skate park. And then I look at there, I was looking, I need to get a skateboard. So then I got a skateboard, because I like more ramp. I have a feeling that you like more streets, but I like more bowl and stuff. So with that bowl, like right next door to my house, I'm like, no way that I cannot have a skateboard. And that's when I got it.
Yeah, there was I definitely skated, mini ramp up to 6 foot. There was a time when I like transition. It's fun. There was a time where several years ago, like there was this season. I said it was different seasons where it'd be like, oh, I'm going, every day, and it would go a couple months, and then it would little phase out a little bit or whatever. There was a season where I dedicated myself to learning how to skate bowl and like really figured out. I was on it, the board I ride now it's not really the best setup for bowl, so I don't skate the ones that are parked that much, but I had to specifically set up a bowl board, and I was having a great time learning it, and just kind of, there was a park in Dunedin. It's about 40 minutes for me, and I was going there several days a week to just challenge myself to figure out how to skate the bowl, and it was a lot of fun. I loved it. But it's at St. Pete, even if I go kick around on the bowls a little bit, I end up on the street part of it, because it's just, I don't know, has anything that I would want to skate is on that side of it for the most part. It just pulls me over, I guess. But it's I appreciate it all. I love watching people skate the pool there, and just the skateboarding. It's interesting how you can get into different parts of it. You might have real tech skateboarders, you might have jumpers, they call them. People like to do big stuff, which was me when I was younger. I loved throwing myself off of things, you know,
Yeah.
just pushing. And then you have vert skateboard, all, you know, obviously all different, but it's always amazing that take all those little details away, it's all skateboarding and everyone appreciates it just the same, I believe, you know, and have the same mutual respect for each other.
Yeah, I think it's cool, and it's exactly like you said. Like some people just like to jump off things, you know. Like I went to when I came back, I went to the skate park, and this guy came to me like, "Hey, can you film here jumping the stairs?" Oh my God, that's cool. So I was filming him, and he's like, "I don't know, man. For some reason, I like to jump off shit." I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool, man."
Adrenaline.
You know.
It's you know, it's that has been probably the hardest thing for me, aging with skateboarding,
Yeah,
because
that's what I was gonna ask.
it's always an internal fight. You know what my mind pushes myself that like wants to do. I try to like push. I'm always pushing myself and like
Yeah.
even, you know, working through any fears and pushing past fears. Now I like the feeling of overcoming those things, but um, there are times where I have to kind of like pull myself back a little bit of in my mind what I might want to try to do, you know, off of something or something I might see in my mind that is like a approach of an obstacle that I feel like I just want to go and send
So,
it basically. But you know, I do sometimes, but I just like the feeling, but I try to limit those things a little bit. I'm certainly not jumping down big sets of stairs anymore. Well, I'm not saying anymore because I'm thinking about it all of the time. So, you know, it's
it's kind of like the devil
in the
and the
right
angel in one
in the
side,
right
right?
situation, I'll go down some stairs, you know, and I mean I've in the last several months, but you know, or last year or whatever. But I'm just not doing it every day like I once was. And I'm certainly not trying the things, even if I would go down a big set of stairs. I'm not going to try anything like I might have tried when I was younger down them or
That's
done or
good.
whatever.
Yeah, I have a lot more careful now too. Even though I have a goal of getting a good real air, that has been my dream of my life. I don't know if I ever gonna get there, but that's one of my dreams. But
What,
I still,
just like floating out of the bowl, like just
yeah, and
spinning
then coming back
along,
in.
floating. It's that trust, that letting it just. I've done those on bowls and they feel amazing.
Yeah,
Just to like
I bet
float out of it.
that's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I'm talking about the stairs of saying not try some of the stuff that I once would. I'm not going to say that because, you know, in the right situation, I get caught up in the hype, and um, there are so many shredders around the area that like even the younger ones, they get me hyped up and inspire that if I'm in the right situation and scenario, I don't want to say I wouldn't try certain things
Yeah.
downstairs if it just kind of, you get caught in the moment sometimes, and I'm always happy when I do.
Yeah. Oh, and skateboarding have a lot of the like you just know when you can make it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when you think of a trick or when you're trying to do something, you kind of always have that internal feeling like, okay, that's doable, or like this is way too crazy right now. Like you always kind of have that feeling. At least like most people that I talk to, they were like, yeah, I got a feeling. It's like go for it. You know, like very little times it happens the opposite where you think you can do it and you get really messed up. But
Yeah, and you have and back we were saying before, the support system. I mean, there's just so much to be said for the feeling you get from the skateboard community to help push you to overcome those fears. You know,
yeah,
like they're in the battle with you, and that's something that one of the many things I love so much about skateboarding. I love to be supportive of the other people, and it feels good when they're supportive of you to help you keep that mind right
yeah,
to be able to not only try something that you're fearful of, but once you try, commit to finishing it and battle it out until you get it. I mean, there's been so many times I've been in the midst of a battle trying to get a trick, and um, there's so many different layers of like discouragement and defeat and trying to deal with my own stuff in my head that I am able to push through because of the people surrounding me and supporting me and just give me little nods of inspiration, little words of encouragement or whatever. And it doesn't matter what skill level it is. That's what's so beautiful about it. I mean, if it's someone learning to kick turn for the first time or someone doing something crazy, I feel like the support is generally the same. They're just as encouraging for the person, learning a kick turn as there is someone doing whatever, a 360 flip down a big set of stairs or whatever that might be.
Yeah, it's and I gotta always get stoked when I see kids trying to learn. Like when you get to the skate park and the kids are trying to learn too. I think it's pretty cool
Yeah.
to see like how they're like, okay, cool, let me go. And I always try to teach them something like, hey, just do a little bit more of this, that. Like I'm not really good, but like I can teach a kid every now and then. So it's always a good feeling when you teach somebody to skateboard.
Yeah, and you don't have to be able to do what they're trying in order to give them advice either, because you
Well,
can
yeah,
see it from the outside looking in sometimes of like, oh, I could see where this or whatever. I mean, sometimes I give my input to people, they ask for it or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean I can do the trick, but seeing what's going on from the outside is
that,
sometimes really helpful for people.
that's true because you even say on your book like skateboarders usually have a different view of life because you're always like, okay, that would be kind of cool to go up and do a slide and whatever. Like you're walking on the street, you're usually thinking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm getting some questions. I'm seeing some questions. What advice can you give to upcoming skaters?
Yeah.
Um, really have fun is the main thing. Be rooted in that love and connection to what skateboarding is for you and not what you think it needs to be in terms of what tricks you should be doing at a certain time or what type of style or type of skating or whatever it might be. Just keep it real to you and have fun. Of course, like get into that push for progression. And I believe that it's important to always push ourselves out of our comfort zones and kind of set that tone to progress. But at the end of the day, keep it about having fun, and remembering why we all do it in the first place. Even if we get frustrated or we're being discouraged from not getting a trick like we want to, when we're walking away from that session, maybe we didn't get what we wanted out of it in terms of tricks, but we're still going to feel good about it. And just remember that connection that we have for skateboarding and what it continues to give to us, and not be burdened by pressures we might put on ourselves to be a certain at a certain skill level or whatever. So that's my advice for up and coming skateboarders and just getting into it. And talking about that, one of my favorite things to do when I was telling you about like seeing kids learn to drop in for the first time is seeing that click, like that light go off in someone, like a young skateboarder. You can see them, maybe it's their first few times on the skateboard or whatever, but there's something happens that happens that's so magical when you can just
Exactly.
see like this glow and you're like, that's it. That's it for life.
Yeah.
They're bonded to skateboarding and what it gives to them. They might come and go from it, but they're always going to be back to it. And it's a part of you. Even if you're not doing it anymore, you're not doing it right now. Skateboarding, if you've ever spent any significant amount of time on it and around the culture and the community, I believe it's always a part of you. It's just a part of who you are, and it's a beautiful thing.
That's so real because like I think once you have that glow, like skateboard is part of the life, and I know because up until today, every now and then I'm with my fingers skateboarding in some place. Like I
Yeah.
never never stopped, and it becomes a part of you.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
as
You
soon as you
see,
had that sparkle.
I mean, you see if you're walking around skateboardingsaves.org, what's up, man? Yeah, for sure.
He said
Some things
something
are
here. Yeah,
do it for
do it for
the
the
right
right
reasons.
reasons.
Yeah. And I saw Jacob join a little while ago. That's one of the local shredders. He's an ATV. You talk about skating different things. This guy is
Oh,
like
really?
skates everything phenomenally. It's
Really?
I love watching the dude skate. Um, but the talking about seeing things differently is you even if you hadn't skated in like 5 years or whatever it might
Yeah.
be, you're not walking through a normal like a downtown area like any other person. You're walking through it looking at, oh, that set of stairs looks nice, or that ledge is nice, that main ope is nice, or that pill to bomb, or whatever it might be. It's your perspective on the world is forever changed from
Yeah, that's
skateboarding.
pretty incredible. When I
Yeah,
read that on your book, I was like, yeah, man, he knows what he's talking about.
yeah.
And now, did you see the transition from the big boards to like smaller boards or no? Like,
Yeah, we went from like big, whatever those were, maybe like, I don't know what size the Tony nine something, those old Pal Peralta, like Bones Brigade days. And then they slowly started with a double tail, like a Mike Valley, Mike V double
yeah,
tail. And then there was like a Shove It or a GNS shuffleboard that was kind of like a similar, and they just started, the shape started to change, but they were still a little bit wider. And then it eventually went to like small. I was riding a 7.75 for a long time. That just became my size, so it went down to, really, really small
yeah,
boards. So that's been, I think about that too, is seeing the many different transitions of skateboarding. That's been phenomenal. Like when I first started skateboarding, it was bonelesses and power slides and like bombing hills and stuff like that, parking garages, maybe some wall ride stuff that we'd build ramps up to walls. And then we started launch ramps. They got really into that. So everything was on launch ramps, just whatever, Christ airs, 360s, those kind of things. And then that kind of phased out. And at some point it started to become like that technical street stuff, learning different street things. So that, like, seeing the transitions over the years has been a great thing. I've really enjoyed it. And what I love about where we're at now in this era is it's all mixed together now. It's like all,
yeah,
like, people are pulling stuff from all phases of skateboarding and just doing it, whatever works for anyone. Because there were certain times where it was like, I don't want to say frowned upon, but just maybe not appreciated as much if you're doing older tricks at a certain phase, like in the pressure flip days or whatever. There was like these things that everyone had to be doing. Whereas now it's just everything is loved and respected and, like I said, appreciated, which makes me happy for sure,
yeah.
because it just
It came
opens up the,
together big
yeah,
time, big
yeah,
time. I noticed that too. Like even though I wasn't skateboarding, but I was always like seeing it. But you went through a phase like this, and then now it feels like it's wide open and like even on the skateboard on the skate park, sometimes you see like some old school bigger boards.
yeah.
I myself thinking about getting because one of my favorite shapes on that time was a Hosoi, the tail fish, like the tail one,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm thinking about getting again because like I just love the feeling of that board.
Dude, do it. That might be the one you get your airs on. That extra little width and that tail, this sort of like kick tail that it had, the wider tail. I know which one you're
Yeah,
talking about. And that the like you said, even with board styles, there's people I see at the park with all range of boards, really old school. Just, I mean, any like I said, anything goes, which is how it should be. I
yeah,
love to see it.
yeah,
And there are people skating old school boards and doing so many things on them that people weren't necessarily doing when those boards were around, but they're just skating them like it's a normal popsicle board or whatever. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's go from a little bit more details now. What is your favorite board right now? Which one are you riding?
My go-to that I have on repeat is a shop board from West Side Skate Shop. I mean, I like their pop and I like the shape, and I kind of, once I find a board that I like, I just like to repeat it and not. So whenever I set up a new board, I pretty much know what it's going to be, and my body feels right on it. So I just, that's my go-to board. I get it every time, pretty much at this point. I've been riding that for maybe like a year and a half now. Before then, I was riding primitives all the time, and the shape switched up for a little bit for the sides that I got, and then I've been on the West Side board since. And it's West Side Skate Shop is a local shop of owned by John Montesi. He was former pro for New Deal, and he's just a rad dude, and you know, all around awesome setup they have there. So always happy to support those guys.
Yeah, that's cool. Favorite wheels?
Bones 52, the 103s, the Street Tech V1s, just like the all around kind of wheel. And trucks are Thunder Hollows 147s. I ride an 8-inch board, and I've kind of like gotten pretty OCD about stuff as I gotten older, which when I was younger, I didn't care at all. So I have to get the same bolts every time, which are shorty lights, and then Bones red. So I ride the same exact setup every time.
Wow. That's cool. And favorite shoes? Do you have a favorite shoes too?
Yeah, the Kyle Walker Vans. I'm kind of same thing. I have those on repeat. I just don't like getting used to new stuff. First, like I said, when I was younger, I just whatever I got. But yeah.
But when you're younger, you know, like you don't have much choice. Like it's what you have is what you have.
Or what someone gives you or whatever. So, but yeah, the Kyle Walker Vans, I like those shoes a lot. They have great board feel, and they have a nice arch support that feels good. It kind of cups into my heel, which I like. So.
You know what? It's funny. Have you heard the new brand Cariuma?
I have.
Yeah. You know, this guy, I bought it. He studied with me, the designer. I went to school with him, like, I don't know, 1988, something like that.
Kariyama brand?
Yeah. The designer. And it's like, I used to make fun of his shoes, like, all the time. Until I found out he was a skateboarder, but I was kind of like a bit of a dick with him. But once I realized that he was a skateboarder, like I actually went to skateboard at his house and stuff like that. And then, you know, I re-met him like through social media like years ago, and then 3 years ago, I think. And he was doing he's doing designs for skateboard. He's one of the designers over there.
That's rad.
I was like, that's pretty cool, and like this is super comfortable shoes, man. I was like, it's like.
I've heard really good things about those shoes.
Yeah. So I was like, I was like, man, that's very, very cool, you know, because I saw him growing up. He's a good skateboarder, man, and then like years later, I meet him. It's like, hey, I have my company now. It's pretty badass. So. That's
cool.
And then skateboarders, man, like they are high determined people normally, man. So
yeah. There's a lot of skateboarders that do many amazing things, and even people that skateboarded when they're younger. Maybe they don't skateboard now, but I think a lot of the traits that they have to be the successful people they are come from skateboarding in a lot of ways. So
I agree. I agree, because from skateboarding, that's the only reason I did 18 Ironmans, you know, because like every time I went there, I'll get my ass kicked, I would come back and do it again and do it again. And that comes from skateboarding, man. It comes from falling and standing up, and it's an attitude that you take for life.
Yeah.
So, man, your book, it's awesome. I appreciate it so much taking the time talking to me. What else that you want to add to the skateboard community? What else that you wanna say? Like usually, I say here, it's gonna be recorded, so whatever you want the world to know about skateboarding and about you. And then after that, I just have one more question on your other books, and I don't want to take too much of your time.
Oh no, I'm happy to be here. I first I want to just give thanks for everyone that has already bought. Thank you, Skateboarding. Thank you for getting it. Thank you for having me on your show. Um, the response from the skateboard community for the book is has been really inspiring for me, and I'm super grateful for that. And um, really, it's just thank you, just like the book says, thank you, Skateboarding. Thank you for everyone involved in it, because it's been such a big part of who I am, and benefited my life in so many ways, and in many ways, like I said, saved my life and kept me going. And some of the times that I couldn't really keep going myself, but it was that passion for skateboarding that helped me in a lot of really, really dark times in my life. And it's the people involved in it. And I've never been to a skate spot or skate park or skate event or anything skateboard related where I didn't feel welcomed. And so to say to the skateboard community, I just keep being what you are and who you are, and that's amazing. And I think it's important for us all to take the time sometimes to just really acknowledge skateboarding for the beautiful thing it is, and for what it gives to us, and has given to us. And it's not to say that I haven't been impacted by other things in my life. I've loved surfing. I enjoy it very much. But skateboarding has just been that thing for me that nothing can really replace. It was my first love, and it's just such a big part of who I am, and has taught me so much. So thank you to everyone who continues to skate and support skateboarding, and who supported the book. Yeah, that's it. And what was the other part? I forget.
Well, the other part was about your books. Well, I was going to say, like, I can totally back that up, man.
Yeah,
Like my book has a little bit of religion related to, but it's a lot related to music. But one thing that, when I was writing a book, I said is like, I never in my life felt more welcome and more comfortable in any other place in the world besides like skateboarding scene, which is also a punk rock scene,
yeah,
and all of that. Because with skateboarding comes punk rock, heavy
yeah,
metal, like a lot of other things, rap and all of that. But I never felt so comfortable in a place like this. And I usually say, like, if you want to learn anything about unity, go to the
yeah,
skate park, go
yeah.
to the
Sit
punk rock
there.
concert, and you will
What
see.
and it looks so chaotic from the outside, but if you really just sit and observe, like a punk rock show, the pit, it looks like people are going crazy and they're hurting each other, but you're dancing in a way that um, it's indescribable. Like it's just undescribable. It's like it's a channeled rage, but all harmony. It is something
Yeah,
everyone's looking out for everyone for the most part. And the skateboard, I tell people all the time, the same thing you said. If you want to understand support and camaraderie and diversity, community, go observe some skate parks and just watch what happens, and how people take care of each other and look out for each other and support each other, encourage each other, uplift each other, regardless of gender, skin tone, socioeconomic class, sexual preference, whatever there is that may divide us. for the most part, that is completely void at most skate parks
Yeah.
and skate scenes.
There is always like a small percentage. I mean,
Sure,
nothing is
sure, but they're
perfect,
not
but
necessarily welcome. They're not necessarily, I would say, appreciated in the skate community. That
is that
small percentage that don't see it that way of unity, and everyone belongs and everyone has a place. Those people, I feel like, yeah, they might be there, but they're not. They're not, in my mind. They're not a part of the skateboard community. They might be someone who skates or whatever, but with that type of attitude and ignorance, I don't feel like, generally speaking, the skateboard community is stoked on them being there anyways, to be honest about it, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. You know, it's incredible because it's exactly that. And like I have a scene of a punk rock song that always the punk rock concert that I went to that always comes to my mind. It was Pennywise, which is like it's
Woo!
very heavy. It was in
Yeah.
Fort Lauderdale, but there was like two bands opening for them. One, the very first band was a smaller band, and but the mom was recording the kid playing it, and the mosh pit, it's like it's killing it out there. And this dude, that I swear, like the guy was like 5 times my size. He just stands over there like this, protecting the mom while she's taking pictures. Like, and I saw the guy said, like, you can take pictures. No, nobody's gonna hurt you. And like in the pit, everybody was trying to be protected already, but with the guy there, people like do it, and he just stand there for like half of the show. That was it. And then
It's
that
amazing.
kind of stuff you only see in that kind of scene, man. Like you only see
Yeah.
it in a punk rock song or in a skateboard park or things like that. So, like I said, if you want to learn about unity, go to the skate park, man. You're gonna see all kinds of things, and if you observe, you're gonna see how it's all a crazy harmony.
Yeah. There's been so many punk rock shows that I've gone to as I've
Oh,
gotten
so
older,
you like punk rock too?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't.
I appreciate pretty much all music. I grew up on a lot of hip hop, punk rock, like Face to Face, Pennywise, No Effects, Lagwagon, those guys, Fugazi. Um,
Nice.
but it was there'd been, as I got older, there were so many shows. I'm 45 now. In the last like probably 10 years, 15 years, there had been so many shows where I go with the idea of, oh, I'm just gonna hang out and just take it easy. The music starts and I can't even, I'm not even controlling myself. The next thing you know, I'm in the pit the whole time. It's just that, yeah, good
Yeah.
feeling. But that's the same way with, like you said, when you move next to the skate park in Colorado in an apartment, you can't be next to a skate park every day and see it when you come in and when you leave and whatever, and eventually not get aboard to be a
Yeah,
part of
it's
it. If you've ever skateboarded before, it just pulls you in and pull you back.
it's the same thing with the music too. It's like you can escape. And
Yeah.
good to know. I didn't know, and I was going to ask, but because that's my big thing on the book, it's music. And I did my first album like by myself. I started learning the guitar finally. I played the bass like a long time ago, but I stopped. And caught in a mosh from there's my friend Brian, very cool dad man, and awesome bass player. And so it's kind of like the music and skateboard, they go running together. And in order for me to write the book, I had to buy the skateboard to bring the memories and
Nice.
to go over the trauma of me learning music and doing the stuff. I had to go. But anyways, uh, 2 years after I started School of Rock, I launched my album, and it's seven punk rock songs. Technically for kids, but I talk about my kid and talk about following your dreams and stuff like that.
Dude, I
So
have to listen. How do I listen? Where's it at? Where can I listen
uh,
to it?
it's it's on. I have on YouTube Music, Alexa, and Spotify, and what else? I think iRadio, I have it too. I think I put it everywhere, but I can
I'm
send
gonna
it to
check it
you.
out. Yeah, yeah. I want
It's
to
it's
definitely want to hear
new,
it.
you know. It's very punk. It's new. I did all in my garage. I did the bass and the guitar and the vocal, and my teacher did the drum mix. But now I'm learning the drums and I'm doing like everything on my own.
That's
So,
awesome. That's
so
awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, we talk about punk rock. It's like music. You were saying it moves you, and that's where I said I have appreciation for all types of music. You know, because my rule for music in terms of whether or not I like it is if I feel something when it's playing and I get a little movement, I'm good with it, regardless of what genre it is. You know, I just music has a way to move you,
to
regardless
move
of
you. Huh?
what
Do
type
you
it is.
skate with music or no?
The sound of skateboarding is my music when I'm skating. You just the slides, the pop, the all of it. You know, I love the sound of skateboarding, and I love the sound of people, you know, supporting each other. So that's my music when I skate, is the sounds of skateboarding, which are, it's music to my ears. You know, sometimes I do things on my skateboard just for the sounds of it, just to hear it
Just
and feel it, like little slides and little skirts, just because there's something that's special to me about those sounds. So I try to do them.
That's cool, man. That's very cool. Like that's very interesting. Because like I have a special relationship with skateboarding, but it's not as deep. Like what I have with music, it feels like it's what you have with skateboarding, pretty much. Because it's like something very, very deep. And
Yeah.
Brian say here that everybody needs to know my kid is because my son has a muscle condition, but he dances with music like crazy, and he loves punk rock. So
Oh,
he's my biggest inspiration to learn the guitar and do it. Actually, the name of the album is "That Is a Punk." And
does he dance? Does he dance? He dances to your music a lot.
what?
Your son dances to your music a lot.
Yeah, he loves it, man. He loves it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he does the air guitar. He does it like this, so it's pretty fun.
I
Uh,
love that. I love
yeah,
that.
like let me show it to you. I made a now it's broken, but I need to fix this. He grew, but I made a skateboard adapted for him. So with 2 years, he was sliding on the skateboard.
How old is he?
He's 5 now, but he's too tall for that. So I need to find a bigger board and something else. But every now and then, I put him on a wagon and we go skateboarding, and I go pushing him on the wagon. And he's always like, let's go fast, let's go fast.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
what type of muscle condition does he have?
It's called Nemaline myopathy. It's basically muscle weakness. You know,
So is
that's
it that does he not have use of all of his like limbs and stuff, or what's the?
yeah, like he can walk, and he has a
Okay.
G-tube, and he has a trick with just a little bit of pressure to help him breathe. Because like he technically didn't need the trick in the beginning, but because it makes it so much pressure on the face, we opted for the trick because it was kind of starting to hurting him here. But so yeah, like he doesn't walk, and he needs a G-tube to eat. But when he's sitting down, he can move his arms and
So he
legs.
can like.
Yeah, so he dances like he has wheels on a bus that he dances like this. It's
Uh,
like, and he loves metal, man. Like every heavy metal song or punk rock, he's all into it.
that's awesome.
So it's kind of like it's very cool that how he connects to music, and anyways, like music kind of helped him, and that's how I started. And the album, it's me on the top of the skateboard, and then say that is a punk. So
That's cool.
my album is totally inspired on him. So, and then now I have a second one that she's a girl, but she's already seems like interested in skateboarding. I put her on the top, but she's gonna turn 1, so she still have
Nice.
a while.
Yeah, I have a son that just turned 13 months, so he's
Oh,
showing
nice.
interest. He's showing interest in a skateboard. I have one for him. My wife and I got one for him to just start to crawl around on. It has soft grip tape, so he's pushing around on it, and he had his knee on it kicking the other day. So, but you know, I'll of course I'll introduce him to it, but
It's
I'll support whatever he's interested in, and whatever pulls him. You know, obviously, I'm not gonna
funny.
push it on him.
Funny you say that coming from a skateboarder because when I was about to have my first, everybody was like, "Oh, he's gonna be an Ironman." I'm like, "No, he's gonna be whatever he wants to
Yeah,
be because as a
yeah,
skateboarder, you gotta know." I'm like, "No, everybody find their
yeah,
life in
yeah,
in life. It might be
yeah.
skateboard, it might be not. You know, who cares? It might be Iron Man, might be not. But like everybody was telling me, "Oh, no, he's gonna be whatever the hell he wants."
That's my biggest, you know, one of my biggest goals for him, and is to just facilitate him doing things that he cares about and he's passionate about, be supportive, and you know, doing my best not to push my ideas and views or whatever it might be onto him. It's I just want to support him and being himself, and but that's what skateboarders are. You know, we're all just at some point we're outcasts or felt like outcasts and just finding our own way. So it's, you know, I don't see it any other way but to be supportive of whoever he is and whoever he becomes as he moves through his life. You know, I'll just be there to support him and love him.
You said like everything, and I think it's very something about this community because like if you talk to other people, like a lot of people, they the way I see it, sometimes they try to put their dreams in their kids, like.
Yeah,
And as a skateboarder and coming from somebody, like you said, like they all came from, something, and you kind of like you learn how to like, hey, it's okay. You're gonna do whatever rocks your boat. That's
yeah,
pretty much it.
yep.
Amazing, man, amazing. And so now I took another half
Oh,
hour.
no, hey, look, hey, we're being in the moment. I'm happy to do it, man. I'm having a good time. I'm not in a
Yeah,
rush.
cool, cool, man. I appreciate that. So you wrote other books, right? That
Yeah. Thank you,
I kind of see it
skateboarding.
here.
Thank you, skateboarding's book 8.
Book eight.
That's
That's
my
cool,
eighth.
man.
Yeah, that's my eighth book. And all along, people had asked me if I plan on writing a book about skateboarding, if, or you know, when people that knew me that were close to me, when are you gonna write something on skating? And it wasn't wasn't time. You know, before there was a lot of my books have been at different phases of my life that had been going through some healing and working through some past traumas and internal struggles and those kinds of things. So like more like journey. And you know, it's almost like Thank You Skateboarding was the first one of the first books I think that I was writing just to write for this, just the tribute of it, and just for me, and not necessarily as a journey to work through something at the time, you know. So it came out in the perfect time. But yeah, my other books are more like journey. I mean, it's self-reflective a little bit. Thank You Skateboarding, but the other ones just get a little bit deeper into some of my childhood stuff and some of my past, and you know, past experiences and adversities, those types of things. So they're, you know, the first book came out in 2004, so it's been a long journey
And I can see
so
that. Yeah.
far. Yeah,
That's very, very cool. 2004 is actually the year too that I started to really change.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was I was at a point in my life then where, you know, I'd started to do good. I had a traumatic experience when I was 17. I was stabbed 9 times, and that like
What?
stuck.
9 times?
Yeah, yeah. I was in a street fight. And I was raging. You know, I was really an angry young person that liked to fight a lot, and like I had skateboarding. as an outlet, but then my other one was fighting. It just became something that in a weird way made me feel less alone, and hurting other people made me feel like my pain kind of like went away. It was never right. I'm never saying that it was right. Violence is never the answer.
Yeah.
And it was just this rage that I didn't figure out, or I wasn't putting enough tension into figuring out. I was skating and I would be raging skating. Just like I told you, I like to jump things. I like to do, like I was a jumper because part of it was just, I had so much rage that I had to like, I skated pretty, I felt like at that time aggressively. And fighting was another thing that I wouldn't say I looked for opportunities, but I certainly didn't turn away from the opportunity to fight if it presented itself or an altercation presented itself. And anyways, long story short, after I was stabbed, I started to journal all the time, and just to start, that's when I started to work through some things at that point in my life where I realized I need to figure some of this stuff out, because I almost ended up dead, you know. And I realized how much I was letting anger and resentment from my childhood kind of control who I was. But anyways, when I wrote the first book, it was more or less like I started to do better for myself and figure things out and develop positive thinking habits. And I thought, I want to be able to give this to some people. It was like reflecting on what I did to help myself get to where I was at that point in my life. And that's where my first book came, as just a reflection to share that with other people. And honestly, I didn't think about getting it published. I was more just writing this whole thing down, and then I ended up getting that one with a publisher, and it just kind of went from one book to the other at different phases of my life, different things I was going through, and different things I was sort of tangling and digging, peeling back the layers of things I needed to work on. So writing became that other outlet for me that really helped me process through things and heal a lot of aspects of my life, to try to become a more emotionally mature, I think, and well-rounded individual, you know, in terms of how, not only how I looked at the world, but also how I looked at myself and my interactions with other people, because it was hard for me to be close to people. It was hard for me to express my love or let people in, and it's, you know, spent a lot of years of my life closed off. So writing was that thing that helped me get through all of the things I needed to, and that's kind of been my books have been different segments of that.
Yeah. It's very interesting because I went through something very similar, and when you said about rage, like I think there's I don't know if you saw that movie Anger Management with Adam Sandler. It says like there's two kinds of angry people. There's the one that explode and the one that screams at the cashier. Like I was kind of like the cashier for a long time. I just hold it in, and I hated myself, you know. Too, I was like, dude, this is too painful, and I hated myself, and I went through. I found out on Ironman, you know, the physical pain was helping with my emotional pain, and that's where I found escape, you know, for all of that. And I mean, it's a very similar story, but with different routes. And like you said, I started to write, and in the beginning, I started to write more like for my wife, you know, saying how I was feeling because I couldn't speak. You know, so it came out through writing, and through writing, like it started to open my mind to, like, oh, there is a whole other world. I can love myself, and like I went through it, but it was hard as fuck, man.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's the thing is, it's, you know, it's hard work to work on yourself. I have a brother that my sixth book is Healing the Wounded Child Within, and that one I really got deep on.
Yeah, I saw
different.
that.
different pains and different things that were wounds from my childhood that continued to control my life as an adult, even though I established and acquired skills like positive mental habits and exercises that I do for myself, and all these different things that I did to work on being able to, like you're talking about your anger, being able to modify my behavior and redirect myself and kind of cope with certain bursts of internal anger and desires to do things that aren't necessarily good to other people, and in moments of feeling that anger or feeling closed off and wanting to just disconnect from the world and from people or whatever. So I acquired skills and habits to help me through those things in certain triggered moments. But then I realized, there's deeper parts of it. I don't want to spend my life working so hard just to function as an adult and have relationships and interact with people, interact with society. I want to like be more at ease with my daily living, and not be so, someone might see me on the outside and I'm like friendly and I'm positive, whatever, but sometimes it's a lot of work to face the world in that way, so I worked on that anyway. So I did that book, digging, and my brother, I was asking him if he had read it yet, and he's like, man, honestly, I don't know if I'm ready to do that. I don't know if I'm ready to do that kind of work. I just don't know. And I told him, dude, I get it, man. It's not easy. It's been from 17 on, and still to this day, I continue to work on myself. Not that I changed automatically at 17 when I almost died from the stabbing, but it was the start for me to realize I had to start to uncover things, and I feel like it's underestimated in our society of like what that takes for us as individuals to work through things that we may experience, and especially like in terms in relation to our mental health. It's such an important thing for me, an important topic, because people who don't struggle with certain aspects of mental health, or who don't understand what it means to have to get through challenges that they have internally of maybe some childhood trauma or other midlife trauma, whatever things that may have caused certain pains, it's like, just like you said, it's not easy to work through that stuff. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of determination. And fortunately, I feel like linking it back to skateboarding was so helpful in me in terms of pulling that motivation and determination to get through things that I had to get through internally and still get through internally to be the person I am. And it's like, I feel like it's a lifelong journey, because I had mentioned I have a 13-month-old. I was moving along fine in my life, and when I had him, it triggered a whole nother level of stuff that like just kind of blindsided me, that I've been now like working triple time over the last year to try to navigate through all of these new emotions that came up and triggered from his birth, that maybe was stuff when it happened to me when I was an infant or baby or toddler or whatever, that I don't know, but it somehow kind of came up in the whole process of having him and getting through the last year. So it's I admire anyone who's willing to do the work on themselves as an individual, just to be a little bit better, and to try to sort through the things that are holding you back from enjoying life to the fullest. And I encourage everyone to to do that, to make that time, and to find the things, if it's not skateboarding, if it's rock and roll, whatever it is, to not only find things, but make the time for the things that help you process through that stuff. Because as we get older, I tell people all the time, as you get older, you don't only need to make the time to do things you love, you have to protect the time. You literally have to protect the sanctity, or like the importance of doing the things that are going to make you a better person, because the more responsibilities you get as an adult, sometimes the things that help you be the best are the things that you dismiss the easiest and first, and stop spending as much time as would be beneficial to you to spend on them.
Yeah, because it's challenging, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'm the same as you. Anybody from me that anybody that takes the time to work on themselves, I am like, dude, you are your own hero, because it's not easy, but it's totally
No.
worth it. Because the
Yeah.
more, and it's like, I know, like you said it, that you like your stuff also bursted open. Mine was the same thing. You go layer by layer, and then after a while, it's just boom, and
Yeah.
it's like it's a total crisis. But then you start seeing things different, and things start to make sense.
Yeah.
And but it's not a freaking easy process.
No, but it's so worth it, because unfortunately, so many of us can relate to not having loving, supportive environments growing up, and even some of those that did, for those that did, sometimes there's things that happen outside of the house that cause
Right.
issues. And when I wrote Healing the Wounded Child Within, it was like, you think of getting hurt skateboarding, you tweak your ankle or your wrist or whatever, maybe you break it. If you don't like do the proper care for it, get a cast and do like proper physical therapy on it and stuff, it's gonna heal. It just may not heal as good as it would if you did the necessary work on it. And it's the same thing with our internal wounds, whatever those might be. You can get on with your life without addressing them, but if you spend the time on them, it's gonna heal much better, and you're gonna have a better life because of it. And that's not even just wounds; it's all aspects of life that we want to improve on, whether it be diet or our mental health or skateboarding in general. It all comes down to our desire to progress and to be better, and be kind to ourselves, graceful with ourselves, and understand that nothing happens overnight. There is no quick way to be better and fix anything. It's a like I said, I believe it's a lifelong journey.
Yeah, I totally back up, because it's so crazy how there is now coaches everywhere and magical formulas that people think that in 72 hours you're gonna make
Yeah.
it,
No.
$7,000. Like, dude, it doesn't work this way, man. And
No. No.
especially, like, you gotta work on your stuff, and I saw that you have a book about following your dreams, and my book is my story of following my dream, but it's like it it never gonna happen overnight. In fact, when you decide to change overnight, it might get worse before it gets better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
never gonna get better right away.
Well, I named that book Far From Easy, because it's like it's just pursuing your dreams and things you really care about and passions you have is far from easy. There's nothing easy about it. There's
Yeah.
so many challenges and like moments of discouragement and feel like nothing's working out, and what all these things that come along with it, that it's all part of it, and it's
And you can
just
translate that to skateboarding, how
yeah.
you deal with the challenge.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's where, like, back to Thank You Skateboarding. So many aspects of that book is the things we learn from skateboarding. If we harness them and really like, I think acknowledge them, we'll see how much they help us in all areas of our life, for sure. I mean, I know that I wouldn't be as determined as I am as an individual, whatever it might be that I'm doing. If I haven't spent so many times or hadn't spent so many years skateboarding, I wouldn't have the level of determination that I do to even like take the books, for example. Like I said, my first book came out over 17 years ago. When that came out, I thought for sure, from what I understood about getting a book published, was, oh, I'll be a bestseller, I'll make $1 million, and like that's it. No way, no. It's just it's been a journey, and every book has just been moving the needle a little bit more, moving the needle a little bit more, and continuing to push through that. But and back to the mental health stuff and the emotional turmoil and dealing with the wounds, if I wouldn't be as determined as I am, I think I would have given up on those things a lot sooner. And that's because of skateboarding, that I am who I am. And not only given up, but there are many times where it certainly felt like the easy option for me would be to give up on life completely, you know. But there's that deeper determination that I always tap into that helps me push through whatever life may be bringing me at any one time. Just like pushing through a battle on the skateboard, trying to get that trick that you want to land or learn that thing that you want to do, you know.
100%. I can back that up 100%, man. 100. And I think like the way I see it, and I really hope that your books start really taking off now. I gotta actually buy the other ones, taking off more, because you probably already sold the skateboarding. I know like you probably sold quite a few, because like the ad came to me and there was a lot of likes in there, and then I was like, this is very cool. But because I think people need to know this kind of stuff, man. Like I think there's a generation out there that thinks that things are gonna happen like overnight, and it doesn't. So people need to get in touch with this kind of stuff, and people need to read that, you know, people like you that go within, and how good it is to go within, and the benefits that you got it from, you know, like all that kind of stuff. I think this kind of information needs to be out.
Yeah, thank you. I'm the, you know, like I said, the book's beyond Thank You Skateboarding. It's just that internal journey, and it's a like we said, it's hard, but it's worth it. And it's a not only do you benefit from it, but the world benefits from it, because the better we are with dealing with our own issues and addressing them and becoming better people and just trying to live the best life we can and deal with our faults and correct things that we need to correct, we feel better, our self-esteem is better, and then the people around us become better. Having said all that, I am 100% absolutely far from perfect. Like, I struggle every single day. I fall short every day. I am assessing my life constantly on where I could have done better in certain situations, how I could have handled certain circumstances better, how I could have responded to my wife better, what I could have done to better support a friend or whatever it is. It's just always looking for those areas of improvement on myself, and I pretty much fall short every day.
Yeah, I am the same way, you know. Once I started to work within, which has been a while, you know, like I've been always like that. What can I do better? And all this kind of stuff. Like it's just like you said, you see the results around you. It's like the ripple effect, you know. Like
Yeah.
it goes around. So the better you are with yourself, the better the world is going to be, and the better the people around you is going to be, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah. And, you know, in talking about that, I mean, I think it's important for anyone who's watching or watches this in the replay is, it's a lot, like we're just talking about, doing that internal work and those types of things. But, you know, it gets overwhelming, thinking about, well, what does that even mean? What does that look like? Where do you even start? And I feel like the best place for anyone to start is
reading your books.
Yeah, well, that's good, but I mean, without giving my books, I do appreciate the support for sure. But beyond like having those healthy outlets like skateboarding, biking, music, whatever it might be, surfing, just writing, like seriously, just taking the time, get a notebook that looks cool to you or you feels good when you touch it. Get one of your favorite pens that you like to write with that feels like I like pens, you know. I just like, if one that just writes like in your mind writes nice or writes good. And just write a couple pages a day or every other day, and you don't even have to think about anything you're wanting to write. You don't have to have a certain agenda. Don't worry about grammar, punctuation, or spelling, whatever.
Yeah.
Just write, and as you're writing, things will come up that you are thinking about or maybe not even realizing you're dealing with. You're like, oh, I'm feeling this way about this or whatever, and you just start to unpack different parts of yourself that need addressed. And that, I feel like that's a good place to start, to bring some of that stuff up and spend the time in quiet and reflection. And you know, another thing is being honest with yourself. If you have something that needs to be addressed or an issue, it will only change if you're honest with the need to change it.
You can only change what you accept. So it's kind of like you need to accept you and then go for it. I usually, when people ask me like, where do I start? I usually say, I use the quote that I think Albert Einstein said, play is the biggest form of research. So get something that is playful. You know, for me, I started with skateboarding, you know, like I think when I got my longboard way back in 2014, it's when the click started, and then I started to play, and then that was it, you know, like, and then I added the writing, because I was never good at writing, so I was like, I'll never start this way, but I started with the play, but then you kind of merge to writing, which is just a way of taking out of your mind and then putting it in a paper. When you physically see it, you're like, okay, you know, like it's easier to accept, I think.
It's like putting it in somewhere to sort of help the processors work. I feel like process it, because with skateboarding, you know, it's like I could be feeling horrible, like just overwhelmed. It could be processing through so many different things in my life and dealing with, like when I was younger, dealing with hardships at home and just having that escape. As I've gone through different phases of my life, just dealing with internal turmoil or just confusion, whatever. The moment I get on my skateboard, it's all just like falling away. And I'm just present with my skateboard. And when you're asking if I listen to music, I don't, because there's something with me and the skateboard and the sounds that just helps pull me in, and I just become present. And ever since I was younger, when I start skating, I try to get myself to break more often than I do, like sit down and relax, because once I'm in that mode, it's really like the outside world. It's if anything I'm dealing with in the outside world is gone. It's just almost like silenced. And you know, it like gives me that space to, I guess, be free from any of my worries, any of my concerns, any of my frustrations, or whatever it might be. So I just like, that's where I just like skate. I just want to keep going the whole time and just get that feeling. And where writing comes into play is, it's almost like the stuff comes back in, but then that's my way to like process it out, you know? So.
Yeah, I agree with that. And for me, I don't know about you, but for me, that silence on the skateboard. I have music because, you know, like I said, music is more my thing.
Yeah.
But it's that staying in a moment is usually when I get the solution for other things that are happening.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it's incredible, because you got like people think like, oh, the guy is going skateboarding. It's like, but you actually getting a lot more done skateboarding and getting a solution than actually, you know.
I've gotten a lot of work done on the skateboard in my brain. It's you know, you come up with a lot of ideas, and a lot of things start percolating and from a creative aspect. So for sure, there's a lot of productivity that happens on the skateboard beyond dealing with any like mental or emotional turmoil. Just from a creative perspective, there's a lot of inspiration that comes from it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was Tony Hawk that said that skateboarding is not only a sport, it's an art. I think it was him that said that, and I agree 100%. It's an art.
I do. Yeah, 100%. And speaking
Yeah.
of art, there's this Ty on here. He's a amazing artist on a skateboard. So
Oh,
creative,
really?
and I love watching him skate. What's up,
Yeah,
Eric? I see you too.
I've been watching some of your videos. Very cool too, man. Like some of your tricks. Like I said, I'm not a street guy, but I don't know. Like, when I see tricks like the new tricks and some of the tricks that you do, it's almost like now I understand how people made it like the finger skateboarding become like a real thing almost because
Oh yeah.
some of those moves I only saw with finger skateboarding. Like I never seen live, and then now you see some videos on Instagram and YouTube and some of your videos too. We were like, holy! I have no even idea how to start with that, but you know,
It's thank you. It's amazing. I see some skateboarders that just they're like they're definitely taking, not saying they're learning from video games at all anyways, but it's like things that we may have played 5 years ago or something on a video game and tricks to like do on the video, like Tony Hawk Pro Skateboarder or
yeah,
whatever, is happening in real life,
yeah,
all the time in front of me or in videos or Instagram clips, whatever. And I love it. One of the reasons I love it the most is because it's just going to keep going and not
yeah,
stopping, because
yeah,
skateboarding and skateboarders specifically, I feel like are always thirsting for that next level of progression. And I'm just excited to see what keeps happening and where people continue to take it. It's really exciting for me to just think about 10 years from now, what is it going to be like? 15 years from now, it's just going to be remarkable, and I
yeah,
can't wait to see it. I can't wait to be a part of it, because I certainly have, like I said, I'm 45 now, but I have 60-year-old skate goals, 65-year-old skate goals. I mean, it's
yeah. Me too.
you know, at some point, even if I'm just making food for people at the skate park hanging out around there, I'm still gonna love it and I'll be on a skateboard rolling around for sure. But yeah, I'm excited to see where all the next generations and the younger skateboarders uh, continue to take skateboarding and what they do with it next. It's exciting.
Me too, man. I'm very excited to see. Uh, I'm very grateful that I got to talk to you, man. For those, thank you, skateboarding. Please go by and read it because it's a work of art, and I think you put it beautifully in words what the community is about, and a lot of things that a lot of us skateboarders learn it with the community. So I
Thank you.
appreciate you writing, and I hope one day I can get to skateboard with you, man.
Yeah, dude, that would be awesome. Where do you live? Are you in Bradenton now?
No,
Are you
I'm in
still? Oh, you're in
Colorado now.
Colorado. That's right,
Yeah,
Colorado.
yeah,
We'll be in touch if you ever make this way, or if I'm going out west. So that'd be awesome. And
definitely.
with the book, and you mentioned the skateboard community. Honestly, I put it into words, but it's been the whole skateboarding community and skateboarding that is what helped me write that book. Pulling from my experiences as a skateboarder for the many years I have been, and just experiencing the people around me and getting the opportunity to skateboard with the people that I have, and just seeing the skateboard community in general interact with one another and experiencing the joys that skateboarding itself gives me is where the book came from. So it has my name as the author on the book, but it's for all of us. And I think in many ways, everyone involved in skateboarding is just as much a part of writing that book as I am, because I just am honored to be able to put into words what I think so many of us think and feel about it.
Thank you, man. That's deep and very inspiring. And
Yeah,
like I said, me as a skateboarder, I really approve this
love it.
book. And I hope
And
you
I
sell
can't wait to
quite a few.
Thank you. And I can't wait to read your book. So definitely keep me posted. I'm excited. Do you have a
Definitely.
title for it yet?
The what?
Do you have a title for it yet?
Yeah, it's a Punkaste.
Yeah.
It's a
Love it,
monk,
man.
punk with namaste.
Yeah. Punkaste. I love it.
Yeah. So,
I love it.
you know,
So
because it's my
hey, is it said namaste? Is it
Punkaste.
Punkaste? Punkaste.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
So
so much.
I really appreciate it. And like I said, once this is up on YouTube, I'll send you the link and forward to everybody. I hope it really it boosts your sales. And
Thank
I
you.
know I'm gonna post it in a few places where I know some skateboarders. I'm gonna send to some local skateboarders here, but I think the word needs to be to be out, and I really hope that your voice is heard,
Thank you.
and that the next generation is not seen as criminals of
Love it.
skateboarders, and you know we can avoid a lot of other troubles too with mental health. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for everyone who takes the time to watch and listen in. Certainly appreciate everyone, all of you guys. And
yes,
yeah, Aaron, I'm reading some real quick. Aaron, yes, much love, man. Thank you. And thank you for everyone else joined in. Chelsea, I just saw you joined in too. So hello. I'm sorry I didn't get to say hi to everyone as it was kind of
yeah,
flickering
yeah.
and stuff, but in and out. But yeah, thanks again for having me, man. I really
Thank you, man. I
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Punkaste, right?
Punkaste.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Take
See you. We
care.
speak soon. All
Yes, sounds
right,
good.
take care.